In keeping with tradition, the opposing crews first met back in February, down by the Tideway in Putney. Oxford, the champions, arrived to accept the challenge from Cambridge. They may have won 15 of the last 16 races, but it still rankles that Cambridge lead them overall, 69 victories to 67.
On behalf of Cambridge University Boat Club, I challenge Oxford University Boat Club to race for the Beefeater Gin Trophy on Saturday, 4th April. Do you accept my challenge?
On behalf of Oxford University Boat Club, we accept your challenge.
Oxford's dominance in recent years is there for all to see. Cambridge are anxious to erase the bitter memories of last year.
This is a tremendous effort by the Oxford crew, and they're almost at the line, and they're crossing it now, with Cambridge something like 4 lengths still away.
The Oxford and Cambridge boat race means a great deal because it's a wonderful tradition. I guess it's just an honor for me to participate in it more than anything else, and as president to do anything I can to perpetuate the tradition.
These two crews will arrive on race day, arguably the fittest men in any sport anywhere in the world. To get to that extraordinary peak involves 7 months of training, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. The land-based rowing machine, the ergometer, both adds to the strength and gives the trainers a chance to assess how the individuals will work together.
This is a morning session in which we're developing power, maximum power for 10 strokes. So you'll see they're doing 45 minutes continuous ergo work. And every 4 minutes we build up the power so they get the feel of how hard they can pull the handle, i.e. the blade through the water. And because they've got a computer in front of them, they can see how hard they pull.
Training techniques are now unrecognizable since the battle was first joined back in 1829. The response to every session is monitored and then improved. Cohesion and team spirit improve as the fitness is honed to perfection. Hour upon hour of test of both human and physical stamina. As race day closes in, the intensity of focus becomes almost consuming. The Oxford stroke Ian Gardiner has been an international class swimmer, but this year is experiencing a new phenomenon.
No one seems to understand that we'd still race the race even if nobody was watching. We just want to beat Cambridge. There's hatred being talked of in the last few years, but I don't think it's so much hatred, it's just like sort of over-enthusiastic passion.
The calm of the idyllic setting is in stark contrast to the ferocity of the contest. Each crew member still has his or her studies in the background, but how easy can it be to concentrate on your subject when lying just around the corner is the biggest test you'll possibly experience in your whole life? Whatever these young men or women go on to achieve, either in their rowing lives or in their working careers, it's likely to come as an anticlimax.
When we got picked for the blue boat, Joe Michaels, the president, gave each member a sheet saying, most athletes train to stand a chance of winning. True champions train to eliminate the possibility of losing. And he just said, put that on your mirror and look at it every day. And that's what we're going to do.
Oxford are the favourites, but they're leaving nothing to chance.
There's no semi-final, no final, there's no second chance. So it requires a lot of mental strength to really button yourself down, really make sure you are perfectly prepared for that one moment in time. And the 6 months of training that goes before obviously build up towards that.
The only freedom these guys have is the flight of fancy, the dream of victory, and then perhaps of a sane social life. Cambridge's hallowed cloisters breed a depth of pride in history. But this place will surely puff out its chest if a recent tradition is reversed. Whilst the very concept of defeat this year is banished, it's not just the memory of last year's demise that's hard to take. Just as galling is the reason behind it.
Last year, we flew out of the blocks, which is a typically immature thing to do in the boat race, and then proceeded to get rowed down. And at no stage when Oxford was walking back through us was there any cohesive fight back. And if there's one thing that's going to win us a boat race, it's the ability to attack and counter-attack down the course.
Oxford putting on every pressure they can. I'm going to hold them down their bend. We're taking Hamish Bridge, their bend.
Andy Probert, Cambridge's Cox, is at 38, the oldest person ever to compete in the race. Age hasn't dampened his commitment.
Sit back! Sit back! Shooting Hamish Bridge now. Bridge going overhead with the worst away to the bridge. They're coming out wide now, the Entran pusher.
The boat race is a unique event and there's nothing like it in the world, and it really is a psychological battle. What we've looked for in our selection this year is the guys that have that killer instinct every time that they're lined up against somebody side by side.
Two weeks before the race itself, the crews come to London for fine-tuning. But now, though, every move, every stroke is under the microscope. The slightest flaw becomes a disaster. Your strength makes you look invincible. But who knows how the key personalities will respond on the day. Ian Gardiner will stroke Oxford for the first time.
Ian Gardiner, 13 stone 1, and the Cox Elizabeth Chick.
Elizabeth Chick hoping to steer Oxford home to their 6th successive victory.
Seven stone 11 and a half.
On the day, I think it's just beating Cambridge. When we're down the state boats, there'll be a helicopter overhead, hundreds of people on the bank, but it's just going to be us and them.
The last fine-tuning for Oxford, and they're not fooled by the press coverage, which begins to make them stronger and stronger favourites. The Cambridge Cox has no doubts.
There will be very little going through my mind except wanting to win, just trying to get on with the job in hand. The hardest bit is trying to concentrate on that, and I hope that I'll end up ignoring everything that's going on, and the one thing I want to do is just be getting my crew to go fast.
In front of him, Dirk Bangert. His relationship with Probert has been built over 7 months. Their knowledge of each other is now intuitive. And then a chance encounter on the Thames. But interestingly, neither crew bothers to give the others a sideways glance. But all the training could come to nothing if the performance isn't right on the day. Race day at last. The weather fresh, bright and breezy. It may have its roots in a bygone age, but the boat race still draws the crowds. The crews may be cosmopolitan, the spectators certainly aren't. As the appointed hour draws near, a chance for old rivalries to be discussed and enjoyed.
One boat, first time by 16 lengths, the second time by a length and a quarter.
16 lengths is the biggest victory since the war.
Oh yes, the second biggest ever.
I want 10 foot between.
A busy day for the umpire, first briefing the two Coxes.
If I warn you and say both crews move apart, what I want is each of you to move 3 foot, okay? And say, you know, if Andy, you move 3 foot and you don't, I shall then warn you, Liz, or vice versa.
And then the toss, not just traditional but crucial, the only element of luck in the race, where your commentator will be David Goldstrom.
We have the 1829 Gold Sovereign, and it will be Joe from Oxford who will toss it from last year's winning camp, and Max from Cambridge will call. So Joe, I can hand it to you. Here we go. Ready? Yep. Heads. And it's tails. Sorry, Joe, your call.
Oxford chooses Middlesex.
Middlesex at the top of the picture, 4 1/4 miles, the task ahead for both crews. 6,778 metres, a true test of endurance. The two crews are bringing their boats out now. Oxford with their German M-Packer, 90 kilos of high-tech construction, equal to the weight of just one of their oarsmen. Cambridge also with a yellow boat. There's the deeper colour of their American-made Dirigo. So do the crews. In the bow, Max Justicz, the Cambridge president, bringing life and vitality to the boat. His talented opposite number, Kingsley Poole, the joker of the Oxford crew. At 2, Oxford's American president, one of 4 old blues in the boat, a genuine leader. Against him, Nick Clarry, sharp, racy, a junior world medalist. Oxford's Boris Mavra at 3 is the first Yugoslav to row in the race. For him, the tougher the better. His opponent, Yorkshireman James Behrens, a key strongman in his crew. Hamish Hume, a winning blue last year for Oxford, now recovered from a pre-Christmas back injury. Dan Justicz, the younger brother of the Cambridge president. In the engine room for Cambridge, American Donald Fawcett, who gave up the deli sandwiches of Wall Street to train for this goal. Opposing him, Peter Bridge, a potential Olympian. The 6th man for Cambridge, David Gillard, providing the vital link between the bow and stern. Looking to complete the hat-trick over Cambridge is Cal Maclennan, the rock for Oxford. Next, 2 old Etonians, Simon Davy for Oxford and the much-improved Stephen Fowler, 2 men who must pick up the rhythm of their respective strokes. Stroking the light blues, the imposing Dirk Bangert, the first German ever to row in the race, a junior world medalist with 100 victories to his credit, not a man to be defeated. Against him, though, the Scot Ian Gardiner, in the reserve boat until 3 weeks ago, now entrusted with setting the Oxford rhythm. In charge of their respective race plans, the 2 coxswains. At 38, British international Andy Probert is the oldest person ever to compete in the race. Trying to outwit him, 20-year-old undergraduate Liz Chick, bright and just as determined.